Welcome. Today, we're pushing the very limits of what a large language model can possibly uh, ingest and process.
We hear about context windows creeping up all the time, 32K, maybe 128K tokens.
Exactly. But the source material we've gathered today focuses on something else entirely. It's Qwen Long L1.5.
Ah, yes. The model making waves for claiming it can handle context up to 4 million tokens.
4 million. And when you hear a number that big, you immediately think it's just hype, right?
Yeah.
Someone trying to sell infinite context.
Well, this is different. It's more grounded. Qwen Long achieves this in a really clever architectural way.
They kept the base model pretty manageable, right?
Yeah.
Around the 30 billion parameter class.
Exactly. And they built a very sophisticated, smart memory system on top of it.
And that memory system is really the key insight, isn't it?
It is. If you're dealing with massive documents, think about multi-year legal agreements, compliance audits, anything like that, the ability to read the whole thing is just, it's transformative.
So it's the difference between a system that can search for a paragraph and one that can actually understand the whole story.
That's the perfect way to put it, from retrieval to understanding.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're going to follow the technical article itself, step by step.
It's good.
First, the architecture, how this memory agent actually works. Then we'll get into the training recipe, which is really the secret sauce. And finally, the benchmarks and what it means to actually run this yourself.
Let's do it.
So, jumping right in, the core innovation, that 4 million token claim, the sources are really clear. This is not a single attention window.
No, it can't be. The hardware for that would be, well, impossible right now. It relies entirely on an agentic AI memory structure.
So how does that work?
Well, think about how you'd read a 500-page book for work.
Right.
You wouldn't try to hold all 500 pages in your head at once.
No, of course not. I'd be taking notes.
Exactly. You read sequentially, you take notes, you condense facts, you revise your understanding as you go. That condensed set of notes is basically what the memory agent mimics.
The loop.
It's a dynamic loop. It reads a chunk, updates a summary, and, this is the crucial part, it maintains a plan for what to look for next.
That analogy of taking notes is really helpful. But let's get into a specific detail they mentioned right away. Query decomposition.
That's right. When you ask the model a question, it doesn't just process it as one block.
It splits it.
It splits it into two parts. The first is the core question, what they call the core.
Okay.
And the second part is just the instructions on formatting the output. Put the results in a JSON list. They call that quinst.
That seems like a tiny detail, but it's actually brilliant.
It is, because you separate the heavy lifting, the actual thinking, from the packaging.
The formatting instructions don't come back into play until the very end.
Exactly. The model can just focus on the content, not on, say, the indentation.
So we have this reading loop.
Mm-hmm.
The document's chunked, the agent reads the chunk, it combines it with its notes, its summary, and it produces a new summary and a new plan.
A new plan for where to go next.
But this is where I start to get a little worried. All this sequential reading, doesn't that introduce a ton of latency? Is it worth it?
That is absolutely the right question to ask. The trade-off is sequential compute. It takes multiple passes. It uses extra tokens just to manage the memory and the planning steps.
So why do it?
Because the core bet here is that you have to make this trade-off to get past, say, 200,000 tokens. You can't just inflate attention forever. You have to learn the skill of compression, of distillation.
It's about learning what to remember and what to forget.
Precisely. And that brings us to the next big challenge, making that loop stable.
Right. Because a process that accumulates errors over a long run, that's a recipe for disaster.
It is. And the authors really approached this as a stability problem, first and foremost. The solutions they found are, well, that's the real secret sauce.
And it started with the data they used for training.
Yes. They realized that the standard needle in a haystack tests just weren't good enough.
Where you just hide one fact in a giant document.
Right. Those tests only reward retrieval. They don't reward actual reasoning.
So they went beyond that.
Far beyond.
Yeah.
They programmatically engineered multi-hop questions. Questions that forced the model to synthesize evidence that was scattered all over the document.
So it couldn't just find one little snippet?
No, it had to connect 3 different facts from page 10, page 50, and page 200 to get the right answer.
And they really scaled that up. The numbers are pretty impressive.
They moved from about 1,600 open source samples to over 14,000, and they pushed the input length and training up to almost 120,000 tokens.
The training signal had to demand synthesis.
Exactly. It had to punish any attempts at shallow retrieval.
This focus on stability also led them to change their reinforcement learning process.
It did. Standard RL can break down with long contexts. The model just favors the easiest path or it gets erratic. So their fix involved a more sophisticated way of handling rewards.
They adjusted the reward signals on a task-by-task basis.
Right. It's called task-specific advantage estimation. Basically, they didn't let the model get too excited by an easy win or too discouraged by a hard task. It keeps the training consistent.
And they also built in a kind of safety rail.
Yes, which they call AEPO, Adaptive Entropy Controlled Policy Optimization. It's a pragmatic defense against the model just spiraling out of control.
Can you break that down? What's policy entropy?
Think of it as the model's tendency to wander or try random, erratic answers. AEPO keeps that in check.
So if the model gets too erratic,
AEPO hits the brakes. It forces the policy to only update based on successful steps.
and what if it gets stuck in a rut?
Then it does the opposite. It loosens the constraints to encourage it to explore new paths again. It's basically a governor on the whole process to ensure long-term stability.
So all this complex engineering, did it actually pay off? Let's turn to the benchmarks.
This is where it gets really interesting.
The technical article reports a strong average score of 71.8 across 6 key long-context reasoning benchmarks.
And that 71.8 isn't just a good open source score. It puts this model, the Qwen Long L1.5 30B, very close to proprietary models like Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Which scores what?
Gemini averages 72.4 on that same test suite. So we're talking about a very, very competitive model.
And if you dig into where it wins, it lines up with the training goals.
It does. It has its biggest wins on tasks that need that global synthesis, that connecting of scattered evidence. Things like the MRCR benchmark, where it hits 83.0, and Corpus QA at 81.2.
So the results really validate the whole memory agent approach.
They absolutely do. It proves it can stitch together a complex narrative.
But I appreciate that they're also transparent about the limits. They mentioned the long bench V2 test.
Right, which is where almost every model struggles. Qwen Long gets a 55.3.
And that's a good reminder for everyone listening. You still have to run your own tests against your own difficult documents.
Always. But the real power of this architecture shows up when you push into the ultra-long contexts, the sizes other models don't even try.
Right, like what?
We'll look at the MRCR benchmark for documents between 128K and 512K tokens. Qwen Long hits 34.87.
And the baseline?
Baseline is 16.55, so it's more than double, a massive leap.
And then there's the final mic drop moment in the data.
The Corpus QA result at 4 million tokens.
The score is 14.29, which isn't perfect, but...
But the point is that the system is still reasoning. It's still returning a relevant, accurate answer from a document that is just absurdly large. Most other methods can't even operate at that scale in this evaluation.
Okay, so this brings us to the big decision point for you, the listener.
Yeah.
When do you use Qwen Long, and when do you stick with something like Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG?
I think the distinction is pretty clear. RAG is fantastic if the answer is local.
If you're asking, where is the definition of X in this contract?
Exactly. RAG is fast, it's efficient, it's precise, it's great at finding a snippet.
But RAG's weakness is that global synthesis. If you ask it to explain how a clause has changed across 3 different versions of a policy,
it struggles. It retrieves disparate pieces, and the final LLM often can't integrate them into a coherent story.
Whereas Qwen Long, with its note-taking agent, is built for that exact job.
It's built for the global stitching job. It simulates how an expert would read it. So if your users are asking, what is the story of this document, you should test Qwen Long.
And if they're just asking, where is the answer, then RG is probably still your best bet.
I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Now let's talk about practical deployment.
Okay.
One of the huge appeals here for any enterprise has to be privacy and local control.
Absolutely. Because Qwen Long is an open source model and the memory agent loop is just code that you control, you can keep your most sensitive documents on your own premises.
Which drastically simplifies compliance, governance, all of that.
It does. You don't have to upload massive confidential files to an external cloud provider just to get long context capabilities.
So for those who want to try this themselves, the model is on Hugging Face.
It is. It's under Tanguy Ziwen Qwen Long L1.5 30EB A3B.
And there's a really important technical warning in the sources about running this locally, especially using tools like llama.cpp.
Yes. This is crucial. If you use very aggressive quantization, like a Q4 quant, you run a much higher risk of triggering thinking loops, or other instabilities.
So don't get greedy with the VRAM.
Exactly. For stable, reliable reasoning with system this complex, you really need to start with higher precision. Think Q8 or even FP16. Don't compromise stability.
So to kind of bring this all together, Qwen Long feels less like just another model and more like a blueprint for how to achieve this kind of understanding.
I think that's right. The team showed that this level of performance is achievable by focusing on 4 key things:
Smart data synthesis.
stabilizing the training loop with those reward tricks, using entropy control as a safety rail, and most importantly, treating memory management as a first-class skill.
Instead of just an attention inflation problem.
Exactly.
So what does this mean for your workflow? If you're managing document synthesis, not just simple search, this is where you should be focusing.
Right. Take those difficult storytelling tasks, the ones that span 30, 50, 100,000 tokens, and measure how well Qwen Long maintains that coherent story compared to your current setup.
It's really clear from the sources that 4 million context isn't just a marketing number, it's a successfully engineered system.
It is. And it shifts the burden of complexity away from massive, expensive hardware for linear attention and puts it onto smart, sequential planning in the software.
Which leaves us with a really important question for the future.
It does. If the key to scaling these models now depends more on software ingenuity and these complex training recipes than just brute force hardware, what skill set becomes the most valuable for the people building the next generation of models?
A fascinating thought to consider. Thanks for joining us for this analysis of the source material.